third problem. Third problem says that if A and B are square matrices, then show that I minus AB is invertible if and only if I minus BA is invertible. And please note that in the case when AB is equal to BA, these two matrices are obviously the same, so it is just trivial in the case when A times B equal to B times A. Okay, anyways, yeah, so let's do this. So we'll assume that I minus AB is invertible. So let C be the inverse of I minus AB. Because C is the inverse of I minus AB, by the very definition, we have that I minus AB times C is equals to C times I into I minus AB is equals to identity. Okay. Next, what do we do is the following. We multiply both sides. We multiply both sides by B. Okay, B by B on the left. So here on the left hand side we get B. Here we get B times I minus AB into C, which is equal to this. And this, if you see carefully, this is exactly given in the hint. Okay, so you have to use this. All right, so this is equal to this. One of the beautiful things about this equation is that it turns somehow I minus AB into I minus BA. Okay, and which is very much required for us, because if we have to prove that I minus BA is invertible, we want I minus BA to appear in the equation. And because we are using that I minus A times B is invertible, we also want this to be involved in the same equation. Okay, so this gives us the equality. Now what do we do next is we multiply on by A on the right hand side. Okay, to get B times A is equals to I minus BA into BCA. Okay, so therefore we have identity. Identity can be written as what? Identity can be written as identity minus BA plus BA. Okay, and that can be written as I minus BA into B times A. B times A we just found to be this. Okay, so we just substitute it over here instead of BA. So we get this. And then what happens here? Now you can see what is happening here. We are just taking I minus B times A common. Why can we take it out common? Because both appear to the left hand side. Okay, we have to be very careful about the fact when we are dealing with matrices that the matrices do not commute. Okay, any arbitrary matrices, it might commute. We don't know whether it commutes or not, a special case. But when you don't know that what is happening with those two matrices, it is better to assume that, for example, if AB is equal to BA, the same proof holds. Okay, but at the start only you know when if AB equal to BA, then this statement itself is trivial. Okay, so we have this is equal to identity. And similarly, you can show that I plus BCA. So till here, so I minus BA times I plus BCA is equals to identity, right? So from here, I can say that I minus BA is invertible. Yeah? Yes or no? Yes or no? Okay, yes. Naman, Anirudh, Ganesh says yes. Okay. Very positive. You guys are. Okay. So this completes the proof, is it? What is the definition of a matrix being invertible? If A is invertible. Okay, so what happens? There exists. Okay, we want to prove that this is invertible. Okay, yeah. So we want to prove that this matrix is invertible. Okay, A is invertible. So if I want to prove that this matrix is invertible, so what is the definition of invertible matrix? Matrix A, let's say matrix D. D is not here. Okay, so D is said to be invertible if if there exists a matrix D prime such that D times D prime is equal to identity, that is enough for a matrix. Okay, yeah. So is it enough or it is not? Exactly. You need the product of both to be equal to identity matrices. All right. So this alone will not help. We also need to show that so this gives us an idea that this is invertible and the potential inverse of I minus BA is I plus BCA. This line here that I minus BA times I plus BCA is equal to identity just gives us a potential candidate which might be an inverse. Okay. So this is an exercise that please let AB find out a matrix A such that A times B is equals to identity, but A is not invertible. Can there exist such a matrix? Yes, because it might happen that B times A will not be equal to identity. So again, you have to keep in mind, you have to choose two matrices which do not commute with each other. If a matrix, okay, if A and B commute with each other, and if I know that A times B is identity, okay, this A and B, I'm just talking about some arbitrary matrices A and B. Okay, so see, a matrix A is said to be invertible if there exists B such that A times B is equal to identity, which is equal to B times A. We need this for matrix A to be invertible. But if we know already that A times B is equals to identity and the fact that B and A commute with each other, then we are done in that case because A times B will be equal to B times A, which is equal to identity. So in order to find a solution for the exercise that I mentioned, make sure that your matrices do not commute. Okay, so let's carry on from here. So therefore, we have to show that what happens to the matrix when I multiply I plus BCA times I minus BA. Okay, so this also turns out to be identity. Okay, you can show in a similar way. Okay, so therefore, this is invertible. And by the symmetry, A and you can just see if you interchange just A and B, it will give you the reverse implication as well. Okay, so I hope problem 3 is clear to all. Next, we move on to solving the following system of linear equations in the unknowns. So here we have to solve the system by Gauss elimination method. Okay, so the very first thing what we do is we have this augmented matrix and we have to convert it into row echelon form. Okay, so we begin with this. I hope all of us know how is this written. Okay, this is just many such examples were discussed in the class. Okay, if you just look at the coefficient, this is the coefficient matrix of this. Okay, if you just look at the coefficient of xi's and place them in the right order, here the coefficient of x1, x2, x3 and likewise, and this is the constant. Okay, yeah. So to convert it into GAN, very first thing we have to see is this, the very first non-zero element. Okay, so very first non-zero element is -2, which is not in the first row. So the very first thing to do is that we interchange the first and second row. So we get this. Okay, so we have this. So the next step is using this. This is the first pivot element that we have in the second column. So using the pivot element, what do? We make all the entries below this pivot element to be 0. Okay, and that we can do by doing R3 minus R1. And we get this. So once this is done, we look at this matrix. We look at this particular matrix, right? So now we are done with the second column. Now look at this matrix. So here also the very first non-zero element in this 2 cross 5 matrix is 5, which is not in the first row. So again, we need to interchange these two rows. And we have this. Okay, so and we are in the, this is in the row echelon form. Also see that the pivot elements are 2, 5 and -2. Okay, so the pivots occur in second, third and fourth column. So the given linear system is consistent. Okay. Here it is given to you that solve. So you have to check the consistency also, that whether you can solve it or not solve it. Okay, so it is consistent, and pivot columns are 2, 3, 4. Why is it consistent? Because beyond B3, nothing is there. So beyond B3, everything being equal to 0 is trivially satisfied in this case. Okay, so for a particular solution, we let the non-pivotal elements, the variables corresponding to the non-pivotal columns, to be equal to 0. Okay, and then what do we do is that we look at this matrix, and then we have the equation, right? We start from this equation. So here when you see the third row, when we multiply it with the variable vector, what do we get here? Minus 2 times x4 plus x5 is equals to 2. Okay, so that's what is being written here, and this will give us that x4 equal to minus 1. We are finding out the particular solution. So we let x1 and x5 to be equal to 0, and that gives us the value of x4. Next, we do the same thing with the second row. Okay, it is easier to move from it. It should be the case that you should go from the lowest row to the topmost row. Okay, why? Because the lowest row, the row which is at the bottom, consists of minimal number of variables. Okay, so you should do it that way. So the second row gives us this, and the third row gives us this. All right, so this is easy, right? Here we already have x4, so now we have x1, x5 and x4, so just substitute it to get x3. And now the only variable we need to find out after this is x2. So move on to the first row. The first row gives us this equation, and substituting all the values, we get the value of x2 to be equal to 8. So this is a particular solution. Now the basic solution of the corresponding homogeneous equation is given by this. So what do we do? There are two there are two variables corresponding to non-pivotal elements. Okay, so x1 and x5. Okay, so the three variables, these two. Okay, so we can substitute x1 to be 1, x5 to be 0. So this gives us the solution. This can be gotten from these three equations. Okay, from the row echelon form. And similarly, when we take x1 equal to 0 and x5 equal to 1, we get this particular solution. Okay, so these
yes. St. Priya's Shanmukh is asking, can you explain the method again?
Okay, which method, which part, from where should I explain?
Maybe first the particular solution and then fundamental solution.
Okay, so here actually we see the number of pivotal columns is 3. Okay, so the linear system is consistent with pivotal columns being 2, 3 and 4. So the non-pivotal columns are x1 and x5. Okay, so the variables corresponding to these are free variables. So it means that I can choose whichever value I want for these. Okay, so for a particular solution, very first thing we do is that we set the free variables to be equal to 0. Why am I doing this? Because I have the freedom. Free variables, I have the freedom to choose these two variables as I please. Okay, so I do that, and once I fix x1 and x5, then the other three variables are dependent on these two. So I don't have the freedom. I don't have the right to choose those three variables. Okay, those, how will I get x2, x3 and x4? I'll get those variables. I'll get the value of those variables. I'll get the value of those variables by the following. Okay, by solving this equation, which I get from the row echelon form. Okay, so you look at the very first, the third row here. Okay, here when you multiply this row with the variable vector over here, what does this last row corresponds to? It just says that minus 2 times x4 plus x5 is equal to 2. Okay, so that's what I've written here. This will help us to find out the value of x4. We need to figure out what is x4 and what is x3 and what is x2. So that's what we are doing. We know x1 and x5 is equal to 0, and based on this, we are finding x4. Okay, and why are we doing this? Because we have been asked to find out all the solutions. all possible solutions, the general solution. So we are working towards that. Okay. And next we look at the second row in a similar manner. So this involves x4, x5, and x3. We know these two values. So that will give us the value of x3, and similarly for x2. So now these values that we get after putting the free variables to be equal to 0 is known as particular solution. So this is the particular solution. For basic solution, what do we do? Same method, but here instead of putting these equal to 0, we put any one variable equal to 1 and the rest all equal to 0. So here, because we just have 2, we put x1 equal to 1 and x5 equal to 0. Okay, and this in similar fashion we solve how we solved it. Okay, and then we get these two solutions. Okay, so these two are the basic solutions. Okay, so we got particular solution, we got the basic solutions. Now these basic solutions and the particular solution will help us to get the general solution. Let's see how. So the general solution is given by x is equals to x0 plus alpha 1 s1 plus alpha 5 s5. Okay. Okay, I missed to write that alpha 1 and alpha 5 belongs to R. Okay, any particular linear combination. Okay, any arbitrary linear combination. All right. So this is the formula. This we have also seen in class, right? So this and what x corresponds to? X corresponds to the variable vector, the column vector x1, x2, x3. This bold x0 is this. Okay. So we have this. So when we look at this and when we equate vector wise, what do we get? We get that x1 is equals to alpha 1. Okay, because in x0 the first term is 0 plus alpha 1 times s1. So alpha 1 times s1, that is just alpha 1 plus alpha 5 times s5 will just give me 0. Okay, so this x1 is just equal to alpha 1. And similarly, we can solve for the remaining xi's also. So that gives us all the values. I hope it is clear now.